Hello viewers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Again, we are going to start a new session on Azure OpenAI hands-on. So in this session, we are going to start integrating Azure OpenAI services into our app. I have opened this Azure OpenAI exercises link, and now I'm going to integrate Azure OpenAI into your app. This is the link. Let me open this in a new tab and switch to this new tab. With Azure OpenAI service, developers can create chatbots, language models, and other applications that excel at understanding natural human language. The Azure OpenAI provides access to pre-trained AI models as well as suite of APIs and tools for customizing and fine-tuning these models to meet the specific requirements of your application. In this exercise, you will learn how to deploy a model in Azure OpenAI and use it in your own application to summarize text. Before we start, we need a Azure subscription, which I have already created, and then we have to request for access to Azure OpenAI service through this form. I have already shown this in one of my earlier videos of this series. You can refer to that series by clicking on the I button here. I have the Azure portal open and I have this Azure service already created, which is OpenAI SVC 2023. That's the service I have already created, OpenAI resource. Next, we are going to deploy a model. To use the Azure OpenAI API, you must first deploy a model to use through the Azure OpenAI Studio. Okay. So once deployed, we will reference that model in our app. So to deploy the model, what we have to do, we have to go to our Azure OpenAI service, click on Explore in the Overview tab. You click on Explore, and it is going to open Azure OpenAI Studio. Now, in the Azure OpenAI Studio, you have to go to Deployments in this sidebar. Okay, and here you can click on Create a new deployment, select a model. So from drop down, we are going to select GPT-35 Turbo, and we'll take the default model, and then deployment name we can assign as per our own choice. Here the deployment name we should give for now is Text Turbo. So I'm going to paste it here, and then I'll click Create, and this is going to deploy a ChatGPT 3.5 or 35 Turbo model, and the name of this model is Text Turbo. You can see the date of today, 9th October 2023. That's the deployment date and time. Now, since our model is deployed, let's set up an application in Cloud Shell. Okay. So for now, we are going to create an application or run an application in the Azure Cloud Shell itself. Okay. So first of all, we need a storage resource, okay, to set up this Cloud Shell. So let me do that here. I'll just open dashboard in a new tab. We are here. Now I'll click on Cloud Shell here. Now here we are presented with creating a storage so that our shell application can run. So let's create the storage. And here you can see it's starting the Cloud Shell. And now we are in bash command. We can run the bash command. So we are in the bash shell and not under PowerShell. Now it's connecting to that bash terminal. So let's wait for it to run. Now here we can see it's started. Let me maximize this. Then in the next step, we have to just clone this. Okay. So let me run this one by one. I'll copy this command. I'll paste it here. Let me paste it here. So now it's cloning that code repository. We'll try listing directory. We'll change directory to Azure OpenAI. Again, we'll list directory. Okay, and we can see the lab files now. Let's change directory to lab files. List the directory again, and here we have NLP Azure OpenAI. Okay, that's the first one. So let's change directory to 02 this and type code dot, and it will open this code where we have the Python test OpenAI, and then we have the environment file. Okay, and this is our code. So we have already cloned this repository. Now we have changed our directory to 02 NLP Azure OpenAI, and we have opened Visual Studio Code using this code dot command. Now we have to configure our application. So there are two applications, one in Python, one written in Python, and one written in C#. So I'm going to work with Python script. So let's configure Python environment file. Okay, so what we have to provide in the Python environment file, we have to provide API key, endpoints, and model name. Okay, that we are going to get it from here. Okay, so this is our model name. Then open API key and endpoint, that you are going to get it from key and endpoints. So let's copy the key and then endpoints. Let's paste the endpoint as well and save the file. Now we have endpoint key and the model name. Let's go to our Python code and it's trying to read this sample text file. Okay. Next, we have to install these two packages as well. Okay. So let's copy this and run one by one in Cloud Shell. So I'll do listing directory. We have Python folder, so changing directory to Python. Then we'll install Python dot environment and OpenAI, these two packages. Okay, so Python dot environment to work with the environment files, and then OpenAI to work with the OpenAI APIs. Now it is installing both the packages and other dependent packages. So all the dependencies are also installed. Now we are going to refresh this. Next step. So now we are going to import the OpenAI package. If you are going to work with OpenAI services, if you're in Python, if you're working in C#, you need to import this library Azure.ai OpenAI. Anyway, so let's write it here. Importing the OpenAI service package. Then you have to copy this to set OpenAI configuration settings and then send a request to OpenAI model and then get the response of the summary from our OpenAI model. So let's paste it here, okay, and properly indent it. So let me explain what we have in this code file. First, we are importing voice package and .environment package to load the environment file. Then we are importing OpenAI package. Then in the main function, we are writing a try catch block, and the try block, we are loading the environment file, and from that we are taking endpoint key and model values. Okay, without this will help us taking these values without exposing it to any other user, right? Without exposing our endpoint or key, okay, for security reasons. Then from sample text, we are reading. This is nothing but our prompt, and we are giving this prompt by reading the file and passing this text within the messages. Okay, and here we are writing a version of the API, the endpoint, and the version date, as well as open API key, so that we can call the OpenAI service through this endpoint. Next, we have this response variable defined, which will get the response by calling this function OpenAI chat completion dot create function. Using this, we are going to get the response from the OpenAI based on the text we are passing. Okay, using this text file. So let's execute this. So I'll do ls in this command, bash command prompt. We have test OpenAI model.py. So I'll just write Python test, just Python test OpenAI model.py, and we will wait for the response. And here we can see the summaries. Maple syrup is made by tapping a spout. So all this is nothing but the summary based on the text we have in the sample text file. Next, after running the code, what we saw is the summary, and I use this command to run the Python file. Okay, we observe the summarization of the file, and if we just change the temperature to value 1, we will see a different output, okay, which will stick to the request we have made. Okay, so this is nothing but the parameter tuning. We are tuning the temperature value to 1 so that we can get a different response which is strictly following the prompt that we have given. Okay, So increasing the temperature often causes the summary to vary even when provided the same text due to the increased randomness. Okay, so increasing the temperature increases the randomness of the response that we are getting from the OpenAI service or the model. You can run it several times to see how the output may change. Try using different values. So let's try that. So temperature is set 0.7. We'll set temperature to 1. We'll save the file by clicking the Control plus S button to save it, or Command plus S button to save it in Mac. Then again run this Python file, and this time we'll have a different summary. Again, let me run it, and this time again we'll have a different summary. Let me run it again, and every time we are going to get a different summary because we have changed the temperature to 1. So it has increased the randomness of the response that we are getting from the OpenAI model or service. Okay, so that's how we can embed this API into our application. Okay, and that's how we are going to integrate our app and Azure OpenAI services together. That's all for now in this session. Thank you for watching. If you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe, and also comment if you didn't like something so that I can work on your feedback. Thank you. Bye bye.